Would you join me in starting? My phone is 8:45. Start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There he is. Mr. Schulte? I'm here. And then on your name, I'll say Mr. Lohr. Here. Thank you. Here. All right, the first thing would be to look at the agenda for today.
Have any changes?
No, I didn't. Let's get the right closed session.
Yeah, I got it right on there.
Morning. Morning.
I'll make a motion to approve
That new one, and I asked what changed. The number of closed session.
Hello.
Oh, we have motion from Schulte and support from Mr. Lohr on approving the agenda for today. Further discussion? All those in favor of the agenda for April 9, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next, we have a small novel considered from our last meeting.
They get longer and longer.
Identified some of the discussion about the wind turbines and the wind power LLC. I did sign those yesterday as I had the Endeavor as the signatory now. That should be done. I usually draft minutes to refresh my memory on what it was in need to read, so hopefully that part stays.
I've already got mine done. They're whipping through them, so they're going to be done. She said we could do it early. Oh, maybe tell the office. Yeah, we'll tell our office and let us know. Yeah, it can get people here faster.
I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Motion then from Mr. Schulte to approve the minutes of March 26th, and support from Mr. Helmers. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next 2 minutes before department heads are identified. We do have a discuss, approve resolution in order of weed destruction. Step we've taken in the past and one that we will likely need to do annually, correct, Weed Commissioner? It's not been a full year, but this would be in preparation for the new growing season. It would be wise and good to consider this time. I would just say if we do have interest in approving, that we would wait until at least after, what time? Sorry, 10 o'clock, because that was published with a certain resolution number on it, which would be the next one in sequence. So wait till after that to give final approval or numbers such. I would doubt we get in too much trouble approving 33 or 32 or changing 32 to 33.
Never know.
Is there anything you'd like to share, Nick, or is it just something that we reviewed and approved last year? And
Let's get into that.
I'll make a motion
With that resolution.
Okay.
A little bit of a rebel. To get in trouble, you blame me.
If the other one was published and identified as resolution 32, so you want to number this one 33? Okay.
Sounds good.
A motion from Mr. Helmers to approve resolution number 33. The order for program and program. resolution in order for programming weed storage. I heard it sounds good, is that support to that motion, Mr. Schulte? Any further discussion on that item? Ask Mr. Chalmers, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Schulte? Aye. Mr. Moore? Aye. Mr. Jones? Aye. I vote aye. You ready down there, Craig? Got me right on that end today?
Ready. I spent 2 weeks in March in Arizona assisting the veterans down there.
Yeah.
Did you help?
I should have been there for 3.
Was Craig with you?
Or was Paul with you?
Yeah.
Well, then you were assisting them.
Well, yeah. But it was still a good month in my office. So, you know, sometimes you're busy, sometimes you're productive. It was both. Like, it was very busy, but it was a good month. We've got 8 Osceola County veterans going on the honor flight in May, and we actually have another one going on the Sioux Center honor flight thing. So
There's enough money for it?
yeah. But you know, I've got 9 more signed up, and I've got enough for those guys plus another 6. So, and I never ask for money. Osceola County just does a fantastic job of that. It's really a blessing for the vets, I'll tell you. So they're all looking forward to it.
Okay.
2 from Ashton, 2 from Melvin, 4 from Sibley, I think. So it all kind of, you know, some next time I have 3 from Ocheaton or something, all kind of figures it works out, but it's a good thing. So. No, I've talked to him in Arizona today. I only did 2 of them. Can't make them go, you know. That's it.
Okay. Nick, how are you feeling?
We had a couple programs in March, I guess. We had our first maple syrup day on March 23rd after we had to have it postponed. We had about 9 people show up. So we did end up making some maple syrup, which was good. And then we had one pot that must have got a little too hot, and she spontaneously combusted, and it burned up, which was a little disappointing.
It showed you what not to do?
What not to do. We did it, you know, on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the 30th, we had our spring Hunter's Ed online field day, and we certified 11 students from the area in Hunter's education. And then we've been working on getting our fire breaks mowed. We've got our burn equipment ready. Now we just need some weather to cooperate. So if we could just bypass this little snow situation we got coming, it would be appreciated. We had built an L for the dock in Ashton, and we were able to get that installed this spring already, and we've been working on starting to get parts cleaned up, ready to go.
Thank you. Deb?
Well, we sent out postcards for boat renewals, and so that's been keeping us very busy. And then the treasurer's office keeps us busy because they keep sending people over for marriage certificates so they can get their driver's license done. We've been busy doing it.
We've been sending things to the treasurer's office, or to the recorder's office.
Yeah, we haven't been busy with driver's license yet, especially with that real ID that goes into effect October of 2020, so if anyone's planning to fly, it'll go star on your license, but you should have by October of 2020. Also, we should be done collecting taxes, but we still have about $250,000 to go, so at the end of the month, we'll be sending delinquent notices out and hopefully get some more in May.
Start on the license, what's that good for?
It's for flying, if you want to go into any federal buildings, some federal buildings require an ID, you have to have that gold star, and then also any nuclear power plants that you might want to go into.
So I can spring my license over?
Actually, you need to bring in a certified birth certificate or a passport, and social security card, and 2 proof of residence. If you have any name changes, then you need a marriage certificate or a name change document. That's why we keep them.
You know, we flew to Arizona, and we had that little thing on our license, and I I didn't know nothing about that thing. Here was a long line from Falls to the airport, and we got that little gizmo that said, I looked, and I think we went through the line, there's nobody there but us, because that little star thing was on there. Our boarding pass said pre-approved something or other, so we're good.
It's so secure, we couldn't have no idea.
Yeah.
Or a 1099.
You're probably used to being in a select group.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right.
Stop over and talk to you about that.
Yeah, I had to fly down and help out him with the veterans too, you know, he needs some help and, no, we may be putting the snow plows on and the sanders on, because we have snow coming in the forecast, it's always interesting. We've been keeping busy with the gravel roads and hauling rock and also hauling like crushed rock from all the flood damage and repairing all the washouts on all the gravel roads, you know, retrieving shoulders and stuff on the paved roads that are low and cleaning ditches. We've been seeding some areas now too from last year's, a lot of our damages and stuff, and hauling rock chips now for seal coating and hauling some of that stuff in with our guys too. We've been assisting a bridge contractor in some repair work because we had some bridges that we got damaged and one that dropped, so we've been kind of repairing those as quickly as we can, and that thing's almost done actually. And another one's been repaired and opened up, and we got another one to get open as well, some final repair. Pothole repair on the paved roads, we got some areas that are pretty bad that we went out and started doing too, and working on equipment, you know, getting people certified, we got that done too for our HMA project. We got upcoming, we got crack sealing, we're gonna put in new roadway pipe, a bunch of paved roads, and advance that paving project, and also doing maybe some shoulder improvements in a couple of those stretches. And yeah, projects wise, I'm about to solicit for bids, the seal coating projects, that's almost about to go out now too. So we got about 70 miles of seal coating to do this year. Yeah. And just FEMA is a big one. We got now 2 events. We got one from last year, we got one now. So fun stuff.
How's your budget set for the snow?
How's that?
How's your budget set for the snow? I wouldn't ask that.
It went over. I mean, it went over and yeah, we're still not gonna be going out again.
It's over. I've been asked by half.
Yeah, I can go look at the actual numbers, but I'm guessing it's about 20% over at least. Yeah, about 20% at least. It was, like last time we asked, it was like had just gone over and then,
People are kind of interested about that.
yeah. Yeah, actually we got multiple whammies last year, because we had to go out and do a whole bunch of work, and we're getting reimbursement now from FEMA, but it doesn't go right into our budget. It's not like it's a reimbursement, so it goes into our account, but not into our this year's budget. So we spent like a lot of money doing bridge repair work too last year. Then we had the winter with all this stuff going on, and fuel and all that too. I mean, it all added up pretty quick. So yeah, we should amend it. It's not so much that we're in a financial hardship or anything from it all. It's just that the money it doesn't work out with the budget, because everything changed on the budget. That's what happened, so, yeah.
Well, we should start checkpointing again by the end of this month or beginning of May. Hopefully that I'll complete it. And, maybe get carpet in this weekend. Get that finally done. So, things are just moving along.
Schedule with helper, find the help you need to move things.
I'm gonna start moving things Wednesday.
Where's the carpet going?
In the attorney's office and also with you.
The attorney's office is covered by the second company.
So I'll start moving some of the furniture out Wednesday and hopefully have it all, at least Mitzi's cleaned out. That's the way they want to start.
Morning. Tomorrow's career day, so hoping this, whatever's coming doesn't affect us, but we're about 1 bus taking, group of students to the new mill, CSE and Wichita, so the rest of it's sort of staying in Sibley, so I already told one business, no, we're not canceling, there's no makeup day, that's gonna be just fine and warm. So 70 students in sophomore class, worked with the city and the chamber, NCC extension office, a lot of details involved. We're taking students to 6 different businesses. and then having a panel back to high school, to include a couple other sectors that maybe just have an office that would really lend well to a tour. So, a lot of details that go into this. Would love to have it be wider and have other school districts. I don't know how that's gonna work with a lot of school districts doing their, other counties doing their own, but, this is the first year we've done on this scale, and so I'm just hoping everyone gets from A to B to C tomorrow. But we've got CFE, co-op, C&D, Keith Merritt, the hospital, including the daycare, TC Transcontinental, as the places we're taking students to tomorrow. So hopefully it will all go to plan. Thank you for your support. Chris Hurlbert has signed the paperwork, the deed has been signed, the transfer tools, so he's gonna be, looking to start later this month, and, his plan is probably to sell his current building, but, with time, but, he's looking to get going. New website, still, I'm a nerd with stats, but we're really seeing good traffic on everything from events to job postings to the Gazette. I tell you what, more people are looking for you, and they land on us to get the link, so hey. But, that's quite funny a lot of times. Hawkeye Point, things are ramping up again. We've got the new webcam that's up and running, and this is something that the High Pointers Club wanted to have, a still camera looking at the High Point, so I just got the email from Chief of High Tech yesterday. It's up. It needs to get moved a little bit, because it's kind of showing the road more than the High Point. And so I just emailed this morning to say, okay, can you do remote control, how's it working? But the High Pointers Club covers the equipment cost. The agreement is it's 5 years, of the internet out there, and, we'll just see. I guess if you want to see what's going on High Point, we'll get the link on our website soon. Just looking forward to a good season of visitors out there. I was there on Saturday and talked a little bit about things that need to get kind of fixed. The road looks a little worn out, and, everything's a bit damp out there, but
We sent out a census roll a week ago, and, you all got one, I'm sure. But we've had a few calls, and people stopped in, so just a chance to, explain the whole process, and nobody's screaming or hollering. Yep, well received, so we're glad about that.
Well, already spoiled the big news, which is getting new carpet in my office after 5 some odd months of it occasionally smelling like the locker room and being squishy, but, it hasn't been too bad for a while, so I'm looking forward to having some new carpet. We cleared out our April 16th jury trial date because I wanted to make sure that we weren't homeless over the weekend before a jury trial potentially happening. As a result, we moved a currently set Class B sex abuse case to the end of June, so that will be the big event on the horizon for us in the office. I doubt that it will be nearly as much of a publicity attractor as the previous Class B sex abuse case that we had set, but I can be wrong, and that will certainly be an interesting ride for us when that begins. Other than that, Aaron and I have obviously been working quite a bit on the road use agreement, decommissioning plan, getting all of that signed. We work on a request for proposal with Aaron. And besides that, just the usual bevy of juvenile court and magistrate court. And, a lot of people recently just decided they didn't want to show up unless issuing a warrant, so I'm sure that we'll have some interesting catch-up to do when we finally do get to arrest those people. But besides that, pretty much been smooth sailing.
What was April 16th?
April 16th is our regularly set jury trial date. We get a jury trial date in Osceola County every 2 months. And that was basically the date that all the cases that were set for trial on that date would be set for trial, and the 2 to 3 week period prior to when we have that trial date is when we kind of tend to winnow out and narrow down which cases are and aren't going to go for trial. 2 weeks before that trial date, we send out letters to prospective jurors, and so knowing that we had a bunch of cases that could either be settled or be moved, and it sounded like the weekend prior to that was going to be the weekend, I just said, let's go ahead and move some stuff around so we can have some freedom to get that carpet done. We're excited about that.
must be trying to help you out there, Craig. Renewal, passports, and, NCOA, that's when the Secretary of State's office sends out voter registration cards to people that possibly have moved. So we're working with that right now, and kind of busy with that right now. Budget.
Anything else? Ladies and gentlemen, you forgot your... Those are...
Worked hard.
Way to go, Nick.
Good wine goodies this morning.
Got about it till like 8:30. Nobody can eat them?
So I...
Yeah, that's right.
No one's welcome.
I'm ready to roll.
Great. That's fantastic.
I'll send you
He doesn't what?
I'm not sure.
We got 9:15.
Yeah, I'd like to have somebody just in case.
When you have community on, yep, that.
Otherwise, we're gonna have to, it's gonna have to.
Well, I'll let you know.
All right.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay.
You gonna be, Aaron, you gonna be around there?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm always there for you.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I hear you.
Discuss courthouse foundation as an item, or
I haven't yet, I haven't got
things we should, consider, and we'll try to discuss that further for 9:15 timed item. Good.
I couldn't get pictures because I couldn't get back in my office, print out pictures. I noticed down in the, basement in the, clerk's office, because we removed the panel because of the damaged wall from the water damage. Well, we got that wall repaired, and so it's exposed, and it's below the ground level. And this winter, when the ice was falling out, the ground was falling out, that whole wall is just, it's wet. Water's not coming in, but the whole wall is wet. So, if that wall is wet, I can imagine what the whole bottom end of the courthouse is looking like. I'm wondering if there's some kind of a barrier that maybe before we get this ground refill back up to get the water away from the building, if there's some kind of a barrier that was put around this courthouse to keep the moisture away from the building itself. Right now, there's nothing between the dirt and the building itself. So that moisture is penetrating through the stone.
You can't put some kind of spray foam or something around it?
Something.
Are you sure it just isn't, kind of, from cooling and warming and cooling, I mean?
It's from the outside. You can tell. If you wanna go downstairs and just look on that east wall corner, you can see that wall right there is just really just damp. There's no moisture coming in, but the wall is just wet. And the only reason we saw it is because we removed that panel, the wood panel, to repair that wall right there. And now that it's all gray, you can see that moisture just penetrating.
That wall was cold and there's warm inside, so you're gonna get some of that moisture.
You could.
Kind of, I have my last floor, it's all wet too.
Yes. So I didn't know whether, if if that's something that we need to maybe address, if we dig around the foundation and then put some kind of a barrier to keep that moisture away from the building.
That seemed like when they do basements and stuff, they put tar on it.
Tar, or they put some kind of a paneling. Yeah.
Have somebody look at it, and determine.
Like I said, I would have never noticed it if we never had that damage down there, with that, remove that panel out of the way. But I know that in the clerk's office, that wood paneling that's been there, that whole wall is crumbling, that plaster right there is crumbling. That's gonna have to be addressed somewhere down the road. But I don't think the stone itself is damaged, it's just the plaster itself needs to be repaired. And that's due to the moisture.
I'd almost think, find somebody to just look at it and see what they think.
Okay.
I don't know how you guys feel.
So when you say somebody, what are you?
He knows those people better than I do,
Somebody from the foundation, I would have them look at it and give us some recommendation on it. Okay.
What we're gonna do some landscaping anyway, though?
Yeah, because, once they get done with the tuck pointing, the recommendation was to fill to the building and taper away. And right now, we're low by the building, so the water doesn't run away. So that's why we have some issues sometimes. But I didn't want to backfill the dirt yet until we get done with the heavy equipment.
It's a separate issue. We've talked about windows coming up, and I think the best approach to that would be to get someone to assess or to provide specs rather than 4 different companies saying, well, this is what you guys should have, this is what you guys should have, and not know if we're comparing apples to apples. You're talking more of a architectural firm or something like that. In a case like that, is it something we want to pair those two together and get an opinion like that on how to address it, or you're just saying those that have been in the field and may take recommendations in that way? Not trying to muddy the waters, but we've got another issue where a firm of that nature may be a benefit to that specific bit.
I'm just thinking we spend quite a bit of money for an architect, or we could put it towards getting the job done. Now, I may be wrong, I don't know.
So, there's only one person I know who's given us a bid. He's kind of an architect, but we can't go off his bid, you know. So if you get another bid from somebody else, you know, we compare apples to apples as far as.
Somebody's already looked at it?
Remember the,
I'm of the end of the windows thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Mike, about architect taking away from what it would cost to actually do the project, but just because I select something that they tell me should be done, I don't know that I have the confidence to say that, yeah, that's the best approach. I hear what you're saying, that the temperature change would be creating the condensation, but if we have constant water pressure on the outside, we could have some seeping through too, or.
And I do believe once we get the landscaping done right, it'll help. But if we're gonna do it, let's do it before we do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll look, see if I can get somebody to look at the foundation and what they say about the moisture coming in.
Maybe you could get, if you could get a variety of opinions, because like I say, some might think about condensation, this is the way to address it, that's groundwater, you need to do this, get some of varying opinions that are out there.
I got a couple of companies, I got 2 companies that I can call and have their opinion on it.
Certainly tile or anything around,
No.
around this.
Yeah, I mean, dig down and get some P-rock in there and tiles.
Yep. I'll make a couple phone calls.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Maybe we should move these.
Thank you.
Just want it better.
At 9:15, we identify due to imminent litigation, to use closed session, to discuss strategy with counsel. It will be under code section Iowa 21.51C. At this point, I would ask if there's a motion to
Make that motion.
take that action.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Palmer's offers the motion, Mr. DeBoer supports it.
There's only 3 of them left, but,
So you roll for the road.
I don't.
Well, thank you.
Need is, needs a strong term.
Took it over.
What? Anybody need a roll?
Making you walk to get it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hopefully, the next time I come back to see you guys, it's, gonna be just real pleasant and. Thank you.
It will be.
We're gonna take a break. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it. Absolutely. Always. We'll be right back.
Okay.
How did Compass go?
You probably talked to Barry, you
I've talked to them the night before.
Yeah,
That's what they kind of decided to do.
is, they got them up to the 15th of April.
Yep.
And then they want help from the county to go to the end of April,
And what were they talking on a dollar amount?
It doesn't sound like,
No.
there's 9 counties.
Yep.
And I would say just by looking at them, I can tell you probably half of them don't want to do it.
Yep.
But, that's just my view of it.
Yep.
And then after that, what they're doing is so they can keep it going, so they can maybe find another.
Yeah, like tax and recovery.
Right. Let's say they had that, did you get that email this morning?
I didn't look at my emails this
They
morning.
had the meeting with them, and none of them are interested.
None of those other companies?
3, yeah, they had 3 meetings.
Well, then there absolutely is no sense putting any more money into it, is there?
Let's say this is the one I got, there's a, and then with that arrow, there's the other.
Okay.
The other one was this morning.
We have 3 in here, we're still in open session, or back in open session. The assessor has provided a copy of the conservation exemptions. In the interest of time, would we be interested in considering those?
I'll make that motion.
Set forth. Conservation exemptions as identified by the assessor, motion made by Mr. Helmers.
Second.
Support from Mr. DeBoer. An annual step that discussion or questions? All those in favor of the exemption signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Mr. Helmer's offers a motion for support to approve the assessor's conservation exemptions. Next is cell phone stipend, that came at the request of the county engineer, correct?
Yeah.
So that would, be half the street, so I assume so.
Hey Carol, we're ready for Aaron to do the streets, thank you, okay guys. Everyone Bruce had also asked him about this stipend too, no, or doesn't have a committee. She doesn't get used her a lot, but.
There you go.
Is that what it's gonna take, 10,000? For county? So should that be on a per capita? You know what I mean? We get one day under there.
This is a phone number.
Aaron, you had asked us to cell phone
No, I
stipend be
understand.
on the
This is
agenda.
another area.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, should it be
Oh, yeah, see, and I know
based
that,
on,
a smaller county,
we can,
I know that too, if they were a smaller county, why do we have to make this into a bigger?
yeah.
And
I just was thinking about the
Right,
percent.
right, it should be that way, so it should be lower. I don't think it's gonna,
They don't have the rest of the meter, the last one I read about being
I don't see why it's gonna, because next,
Put it that way.
if they don't go anywhere, what do we have to show for it?
Yeah.
They got their clients.
You and I had a conversation about this, and, yeah, I was willing to consider something for next fiscal year. If you asked that we consider sooner evidently, or you're asking this conversation we had.
Well, I'll just get you up to speed. So I have a key individual that's kind of that needs to be probably treated special right now in the situation. I have Michael Connor, who's basically on call full-time, and basically his personal phone has become his work phone in a significant way, actually. So, what's really going on is I go to the employee's handbook, and it seems to me the board's duty is to establish, like, the rates and stuff, you know what I mean, that type of thing. The department head has the ability to make decisions based on the numbers that the board provides. So there's a couple different avenues we could go. We could address an individual, Michael Connor specifically, but even separate from addressing the rate, or the board could establish a rate, and then I can, from there, not exceed that rate, you know, type of thing.
We have established that,
Yeah, I think we did that.
I thought we did it, that was like $35.
Not in minutes, no basis, like during budget time maybe?
Those were discussions I've had with it.
I know we discussed.
I know we have,
I didn't see anything in the, I looked, I couldn't find anything in the minutes,
Okay,
it's
I thought-
actually
I thought we
approved
did.
it.
Conservation Board has taken action.
They did, yes.
Yeah, we did.
We reviewed it at budget time. Personally, I thought that would be effective come the next budget cycle, but they have started using that reimbursement rate in conservation already, with the authority of their board,
So,
Yeah, they have.
as I understand it.
yep. Just have a little more to say, in regards to it, yeah, there's two routes I think we can go here. Maybe if the board wants to establish a rate, you know, then from there I have latitude. Or if you want to single out Mike specially and then make a determination on Mike, that'd be another option. My recommendation would be to give him a raise of $35. The reason why I'm using that rate, the logic behind it is, that's about half of a cell phone plan. I don't think it's super generous, but it's not also super
cheap, you know? That's based on him, not necessarily just anyone in the whole world. It's based on the use that Mike uses. And I think it's much more cost effective to the county because if I go and buy a cell phone plan, it's gonna be $75 a month, plus I'm gonna spend $300 on a cell phone, plus if he drops it in the mud, I'm responsible for, you know what I'm saying? So, to me, it's a win-win. So if you wanna single out the individual and, you know, prove it on that, that's fine. Or if you want to, you know, look at establishing a policy, either way, I'm fine. I do wanna go retroactive back to January 1st. He's been doing this for like a year and a half now, and so I talked to him and he feels fair with that, and I told him that I'd be willing to do that, so I mean, that's my intention.
I don't have a problem with that, because I had a job once where I had to carry 2 cell phones.
Yeah, it sucks. Nobody wants it anyways, and it's actually our benefit, because they're actually gonna be more likely to be more available and more ready by doing it this way. And so to me, it's a win-win, but everybody has their choices, and there's pluses and minuses, pros and cons to the whole situation, I'm sure. Yeah.
I understand, and I'm not opposed to that. I have an issue with going retroactive, because we've had the policy in place, the discussion, the question could have been raised at any point. The office could have been providing an office-issued cell phone all along.
Yep.
And we haven't taken those routes. I have a little hard time now saying, okay, well, let's go back to as if we had done it then. Well, why didn't we do it then? Is my question. So it's nothing personal, just, I see the need to establish it, and I would just like to see it added to our mileage rates and our per diems, and just have it an annual approval of rates as is kind of identified in the personnel policy. When Aaron asked me about it, and I had a conversation with him, I said, I'm not authorizing anything. We currently reimburse the sanitarian, or environmental, whatever they're calling it now, I can't keep up with it. I know it changed as soon as he got the nameplate on the door, or whatever. I think that's at 20. I said, I can see where it would absolutely be defendable to use an existing rate that's reimbursing for cell phones when we don't have one stated. Beyond that, I wasn't willing or ready to give authorization. Today, we can, and I am not opposed to the 35 that was identified and discussed when conservation brought it up.
I thought we already had it in place at 35.
We talked.
If we need a motion to make it 35,
I would ask that we identify it as not to exceed. I think the department head could use discretion, I agree with that, not use that much, but it's helpful to have them available, then.
Michelle, that's what I said, starting at 35.
What do you guys think? I just share my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Unless you want to make a special exception for Mike, it's up to you guys, and I understand that, I'm sure he'll be happy either way.
He's already donated a year and a half.
Yes, I know.
So I don't know much, it's not a big deal.
I understand. And that's fine, either way.
Yeah, I really don't want to have it retro, because then
I
we
know.
have a bunch of them coming in here for. I just don't want to go down that road.
I understand completely, I understand, it'll work out just fine.
Is that part of your?
I was just trying to be fair too in a
Is
way.
that part of your motion? Did you make a motion?
Yeah, not to exceed $35 a month.
Would you?
No retro, no nothing, just starting now.
It's kind of separate, I'm not trying to change that.
Too bad.
Would you guys have a problem with him using $20 for January through March?
Part of
I
what
think that would be consistent with the approach that has been done within other offices.
He's been paying us all the time.
I can see him using that latitude as a department head,
You know, it could have
but
been.
not to go over the rate that we're now
I don't think so.
setting.
Let's just start now and go forward.
So,
This one.
I'll second Mike's motion.
Because otherwise, like I said, we're gonna open the door.
I understand. Yeah, I think that we're doing something that makes good professional sense. I'll speak to that. And I apologize too. Yes, I should have actually brought this a little sooner. I really wasn't fully aware of it, because he finally kind of was honest with me and said, hey, I'm like on the minutes, I'm like having problems. And I'm like, oh crap, And we're kind of in the thick of the fight right now, I'll be honest with you. We're really busy.
It was probably worse now because of the weather.
Yeah, exactly. So I've known about this more effectively over the last month and a half, and I've been meaning to get it before you, and that's what we're doing.
Maybe $35 should change his plans where he has something.
contingent upon this motion to go,
You got it.
you would rather not use even a lower rate for the previous this year?
Yeah.
I like the not to exceed, because a flat rate doesn't make sense, because some people might not, it might not be justified.
No,
And so I don't wanna make like it's just this.
because if some guy only uses his phone twice a month, it's not worth
So
it.
this would be for the remainder of this fiscal year, and it would be considered again when we establish mileage and.
I'd say we should tie it right in with mileage.
We'll put it on that schedule, so it would only be for the remainder of this fiscal year and would be reconsidered when that.
Because everything goes up.
Then, would sanitarian and now general assistance have that available to them? We would kind of have the oversight of those offices unless they get to determine that for themselves. I would say it'd probably be wise for us to state whether that's eligible to them. Sanitarian is currently getting 20.
I would say, if they report to you, you have jurisdiction, just like, I'm not actually requesting for my reimbursement, at least now, at this time. So I would actually come to you guys to actually request that. In Mike's case, I'm a direct supervisor, so I actually approve that.
At the same time, they're the directors of a department, and we would allow the budget to reflect what they could have available to them.
But it seems to me both of them asked for $20.
Yeah, they're satisfied with it.
Lori always had a, sorry, general relief always had a cell phone through the conservation plan.
About 24 something a month for through the conservation.
Okay.
I personally believe if we're establishing that as a reimbursement rate, it needs to be available to them. And,
Well, the way it's stated up too, so we still have the right to sit over them, because they report to us basically.
I don't share that view, but I think we get to put the dollars into their budget to address that. And they decide how those dollars get allocated as directors of those departments, but.
Anyway, that's my motion for this.
So this is only being available to the engineer's office now.
No, it's the county,
So the
because
department heads.
the department heads to make those decisions.
So,
like,
they still report to us,
yeah.
so we still have something to say over there.
But we're not, I don't agree. We're not making the decision for Aaron as department head. We're allowing a policy that allows a certain rate for him to use. So I don't know why we would treat the other offices differently.
I agree.
If this is the rate we're establishing as a county cell phone stipend, I personally think it should be available
What
to
is
those
the
other offices.
conservation? Okay. So we could make each department separate. No, this is fair. And if they wanna go to 35, I wouldn't really care.
I'm glad we had a conversation, but I would hope that it doesn't become a budgetary issue, because we didn't budget based on 35 last year, but I would think that in their departments, they have the room, but
I think they've all got a couple $100 extra.
that's a conversation I'll be glad to have with them. I just wanna know that it is available and that they have discretion on it. So I understand it correctly, okay. Having given that more than you probably wanted to deal with, gentlemen, any further questions or discussions? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Schulte. I'm sorry, who offered support? Jerry? Elmer's offered support. Discussion one last time. All those in favor of approval of the stipend as the motion stated, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. And we are past 10 o'clock. We would identify the public hearing for the sale of real estate. Is Nick around, or is he finally coming up, or is that not something he was involved with? Understand this is driven by the state doing a different bridge project, and we are disposing of county-owned land to support that, or facilitate that, or ease that process. Further issues concerning that, or I will open up to public hearing as was published and offered to the public. With that, I will ask that, I will open a public hearing concerning the sale of real estate and conveyance of real estate interest. Receive comments from the public, that would receive any written. Anyone disagree that it seems we are not going to receive public comments during the public hearing?
Well, I think we better give them a half hour just to get started.
Then, we will close the public hearing and next consider approving the purchase agreement. They are reimbursing for recording fees and some of that.
Yeah, publication costs.
Okay. Says net zero for us basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Any interest or action to approve the purchase agreement?
I'll make that motion.
Support from the board to approve the purchase agreement. There's an easement to the public highway as well. Could we do both of those together? Would you be interested in that? A would be for approve agreement, purchase agreement and the easement. Is that?
Yeah, that's part of the motion, yeah.
Okay. Then this would be approval for the purchase agreement and the easement for public highway. Any further discussion, questions, comments? Song and dance? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. And we would look at resolution 32. That would be certification of resolution, sale of real property and delivery of conveyance. We'd like to give consideration and approval to resolution 32. Conversation, questions, concerns? Resolution 32. Then, Mr. Helmers, how do you vote? Aye. Mr. DeBoer? Aye. Mr. Schulte?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And is Kim Wilson still coming?
She's supposed to be, I just confirmed it, she had a meeting at 9 o'clock in
Well, we've got Mr. Holmbeck here, we've got approved DOT budget and 5-year construction for secondary road department. Further up in the agenda, would you like to address that, or can we look at that? Here.
Did Carol give you a copy? Oh, she did, okay. Well, I think you get a map, that's simpler anyways. Well, big picture, every year we gotta put together a program and budget. I updated mine. What you see here is not all the stuff that's gonna be done in the county for the next 5 years, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. This is the stuff that's gonna be utilizing federal aid and farmer market funding. So, big picture, we got 3 bridges that we're looking at doing. 2 of them are probably more certain. One's a maybe. It might get moved to something else based on inspections when things change. One of those bridges in 2020, we're looking at possibly getting a bunch of federal aid for it. That's why it's been programmed, it's right over here by the city dump. That'll be kind of like a free bridge. And then, the other one that I really wanna get going on too is this one south on Assembly, that narrow bridge that's posted on the paper road, L40, Pierce Avenue. That's one that really needs to get upgraded as soon as we can. So I'm planning that for 2021. 2022, my predecessor had a bridge, the VFW bridge in there, I left it in there for the time being, does that qualify, but I may not do anything with that bridge, I might just do some repair work on it.
Now, is that a county bridge or is that city also?
They're all county, they're all outside of city limits.
How about the one right on the south side of town on Old Sixth?
That's a shared, if I understand it, basically the city, border, it's actually kind of a shared bridge, we do all the inspection on it, the maintenance, because we inspect it, with all the other bridges, but it's kind of right on the line, it's a weird one.
Are these gonna be on concrete bridges or?
Yeah, they would, they really would, yeah. There's, that'll be a concrete, DOT concrete slab bridge, that's 2020, and this 2021 will probably do the same thing, more than likely. Depending on the design and there's still a design that has to go forward to get to that point, but the one out here would be a concrete slab.
Out here, the road should be built up too, shouldn't it?
And then, you're right, and then also, a little, to some degree, yes. And then, and because of the clearance too, it'll be probably a continuous concrete slab bridge versus like a beam bridge. All those things will get finalized and the cost benefit analysis will be done so that you pick the most cost effective solution at that time. We're still in the early stages here, so we're not at that point yet. The big thing that's going on is I'm planning our next big paving project, for about 3-4 years from now. Because, we're doing the big project here on the east side of the county. Well, we have a lot of things that need to get done over here too. And so this Friday, I'm actually going to the Northwest Iowa Planning, and I'm going to be requesting about $1.5 million in funding. It's a lot, but I think we had really good success with what we did this year. I mean, that's my opinion. We were able to get a lot done for a very good price. I'm kind of taking that same strategy, and I'm looking at doing big projects big paving jobs every 3 or 4 years.
Logistics and everything are gonna be major, and that'll be a big challenge, great of a project process it is to go this route. I hope it works, and I'm not opposed to it, but.
You've got, what, 8 other engineers to convince?
No, I'll see how my approach is, I think maybe we'll get some money and then they can give us a little more, maybe we can just keep on getting it over the years, to fund the project. We'll see what happens.
2023, so.
Yeah, 2023. And so we gotta do something there. These are roads that we have to deal with. And
The only reason I say that is, I get to hear about this, I heard some supervisors complain about what we got.
But they also get a lot too. Actually, I look at the reality of it, and to me, the people that haven't gotten a fair shake out of it is probably Emmett and Paul. They got, I don't know, there's a good word for it, but I'm not gonna say it, but they've really gotten an unfair shake out of it. Now, but there's other people that have gotten way more than they probably deserve, and so
Could they be from, Dickinson, Clay, and Sue?
Yeah, there's no one too. And actually, even right over here.
We got representatives from the Fair Connection, so you would ask that we give formal approval of your presented 5-year plan?
Yep.
DOT budget and 5-year construction program?
Correct.
Would you like to do that, gentlemen? I think that's a motion from Schulte, is that approval? Support. Elmers, further discussion? All those in favor of the approval, motion states, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Come back to the Tyler Avenue business.
Yep.
Kel, you wanna join us up here? Northwest Iowa Care Connections 2019 final reports and the 20 annual service and budget plan summary.
Well, and I don't have an annual service and budget plan because, I found out from DHS they have a few more changes in it. There are rules issues that came up in play here that, there.
Attesting to that.
So, the annual report I've got right now, and I will make sure that I give you that information, and I will bring the annual service and budget plan that's completely revised and approved by DHS, and I'll bring that to you so that you can see that. This is a 60-page report, and so it's on Northwest Iowa Care Connections. We've got it whittled down to 20, so if you want to have some late night reading, you can always go to the website because it's there. But just kind of gives you a little bit of a summary of what happened last year, and so it would have been as of June 30th of 2018. And as you can see, lots of things really haven't changed as far as like the services on page 2. We've had those that we've consistently had to provide, and it just kind of tells you the access standards behind that, so that people are aware of how we're complying with those. And then you get into the whole issue of the additional core services, which is part of the House File 2456 that passed last year. It was based on people that have complex needs, people that have a serious mental illness, have co-occurring disorders like substance use disorder and other types of things. And what the state wanted to see happen, and of course we do too, is that there was some additional attention being placed on those core services, additional core services. So on the bottom of page 3, where we've got mobile response, we've got that in place in all of the 6 counties. I do know here in Osceola County that we are short on staff when it comes to overnights, and so we're not having the 24/7 like we need. And so we constantly are looking for more people to be doing that. That's a pretty broad base of as far as people that can do that work. You can have persons that maybe have an EMT or a nurse, any kind of first responder type of thing. But they get some specialized training, especially for mental health. And so Seasons is the one that has that contract, and we're always looking to find people that will help with those shifts.
And it couldn't work through the hospital?
No, we talked to Wendy and Ben about, some services, but it seems like when it comes to mobile crisis, that's more of being able to go out to a site. And so, like in this case, they have access to emergency rooms, but then also to schools and to law enforcement and to clinics, primary care clinics. So it's a person actually physically going to one of those places. And the way that the Seasons set this up is that instead of going to people's homes, like right off the bat, they want that referral process to go through with one of those entities to assure safety for individuals as well as for staff. And so that's kind of the setup that's in place. So yeah, if you know of anybody that would be interested in wanting to, take some shifts or something like that, we're constantly looking. It's just difficult to get folks that are qualified to do that. The 23-hour crisis observation, at the time that this was written, we did not have that in place, but our Sioux Rivers contract does have that. And people are put in to a crisis residential service, which is at the second line down, or the 4th line down. That's designed so that if people need to have services and they need to stay 3 to 5 days in a place where there's a therapist available all day, every day, and then there's also prescribers available that can assist with medication management. that there's options for people to go to that service for that limited period of time. But if they only need to be there for a select, like 23 hours or less, they're evaluated to see if there's things that are calming down, things that are getting them stable so that they don't have to be there further, and that's what this whole service is about. And they do offer that in Sioux City. We're still looking at the crisis stabilization community-based services. At the time that this was written, we hadn't started our contracting for that, but we've got a provider that may be interested, so we're looking at that. And then the residential services, as I was saying, it's Sioux City and then it's Sac City. There's significant access standards, and you have to keep them like within 100 miles. And so you guys would probably go the direction of Sioux City and more south, closer. And then the folks on the eastern seaboard of our region would probably go to Sac City because that's local. It also kind of depends on who's got available beds. We are very fortunate to have a contract with Vera McKinnon. As I've said before, about 4 years ago, the legislature offered options for regions to go ahead and contract out of state, and even for court-ordered situations, which is kind of an anomaly. And so we're able to have that available to us, and that works out very well for hospitalization.
Well, I hadn't thought about this, with Lyon County region, that doesn't hinder us, there's no contiguous requirement or anything.
No, they'll have their own.
Dickinson County, so the county has their affiliated hospitals, so.
Yep, it would, that would stay. In fact, I talked to Tom Fulton, from Big Rural and Vera, and I kind of told him that Lyon County was moving on, and so, we're just gonna adjust the contract with taking them out, and then they'll be responsible for getting their own orders. So, at the bottom of page 3, the subacute services are not available. We're exploring that option. I don't know where that's gonna head, to tell you the truth, because they want that service available. It's one step down from an inpatient, so it requires all the medical kinds of services that an inpatient would, but it's not to the point where people feel like they need to have ongoing inpatient care. It's very expensive. It requires quite a bit of regulation through the Department of Inspection and Appeals, and frankly, we have very, very few people that would use that level of care. So this is going to be a business model. It's going to be very interesting to fulfill in a rural area. There's only one in the state right now, and it's over in Dubuque. And Hillcrest has it in place. They renovated a part of their county care facility. They have to separate it off completely. It's got to have its own separate dietary and everything in order to provide that service. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. As far as the justice system involved services, we do have jail diversions, which our release care coordinator is available for here in Osceola County as well as all the other counties. And we do have the Stepping Up initiative, and that's something that's done nationally. There are 46 counties now in Iowa that are involved in that. Our region's been involved with that for a couple of years now. We do have a variety of services in the jails. You've got Haven that comes in and can do psychiatric they're called mental health evaluations, and they're done by a licensed mental health professional. And they do have access to a prescriber via telehealth that can help with those kinds of things. We've had really good luck with that, with sheriffs using that regularly in jails. And we meet regularly on that to assure that there's security services there, and we get data to support that. As far as crisis prevention, mental health first aid is available, and we've been doing that for a while. C3 de-escalation is another part of crisis prevention. That's something that, there's like 6 of us that are instructors that do that kind of training, and it's very helpful because lots of times when you're in a crisis situation, your reactions and your ability to kind of de-escalate people is paramount in order to keep the crisis from getting escalated more. And so this training is only, it's a 6-hour training. It gives people the skills to kind of know what they're seeing, how that behavior is affecting things, and then coming back and looking at ourselves when we're in that situation. What are we doing? They call it flooding. When our adrenaline goes up and we're trying to manage our own thoughts and feelings about things with people in crisis. It's been very, very effective. All of our providers have got that in their service array, And they're doing data on it more too, to see how it affects, because what we wanna see happen is it limits incidences, it limits police calls. And, we're looking at reduction of that whole crisis mode of operation for some of these people that we serve.
Example I kind of picked out of it, if there's a situation that arises, you know, it varies by situation too, but coming in and saying, all right, now sit down and tell me what happened, maybe walk them through the halls with them, or, you know, and getting it while you're walking can really change the dynamics of what that individual's experiencing or how they're wanting to react. It's just one of the little things I noticed that it can be as simple as that.
It is simple stuff.
I shouldn't say simple, but
it is simple.
Little things that you can inject into it that could certainly have different outcome, but
Especially if somebody's high, it's really hard to.
but there's a vast array of ways that it suggests could
Yeah, there's lots of
affect
techniques.
that. It's just one that jumps out to me that, my kid will say, sit down, tell me.
It is transferable. Yeah. Teenagers, it's like, whoa, it really works. But, you know, I think that's the whole thing of it. It's gotta be that simple so that we remember. And it's not this litany of, oh, I need to have all these different types of things that I gotta remember versus it's natural. It's kind of the way I work and, you know, just learn some new skills. It's been very, very helpful with a variety of people. The civil commitment pre-screening we're trying to do in regards to the, mobile crisis. So at the time that this was written, we didn't have that in the contract, but now it is for this year. And so we're working on getting that set up more with our court system. The individuals served in fiscal year 2018 are listed here. You can see that that's unduplicated account. So, it goes through the same process as the budget as far as delineating the chart of accounts and what services are being utilized by a variety of people. And then the unduplicated account of adults and children, that just adds some additional detail in regards to people that are being funded for services, because the people that access services aren't necessarily the ones that we fund on everything. The monies that are expended on page 6 are by chart of accounts as well, and you can see where the dollars are being done.
This is strictly for Civil County?
No, this is for the region, Commercial Healthcare Connection, yeah. And what we do is we look at a variety of services being provided to individuals with mental illness. And how that's kind of transpired is that we have people that are on Medicaid, and persons with mental illness may have Medicaid services. But there's a vast array of different types of services, and it's a federal split. And there's a 66-33 kind of split that's done funding-wise. And so the majority of services for persons with intellectual disabilities are going to be served under that Medicaid array of services more so. And persons with mental illness have some options for Medicaid services, but not to the same degree as intellectual disabilities. So we've been working very hard. I gave you some information about service coordination, but Beth Well has been our service coordinator, has done an excellent job of getting people transferred onto the Medicaid funding, so it goes into that federal, non-federal share, as opposed to having the region's tax dollars paying for those services. As you go through, you know, it's the core services that are being done, and then you're looking at any additional types of justice involved, Core Plus, the community living services. We have a large bunch of dollars that are going to the residential care facilities. That's people that require 24/7 care. That's on the top of page 11. And so we've got about $500,000 that's serving individuals that need to have that higher level of care. That's 24-hour nursing support and assistance with their daily needs. So we came in at 2,100,000, and we're looking at staying pretty consistent with that this next year. And the service and budget plan will have information kind of about that, but yeah, we're budgeting for some of these other services that we need to provide, but that's where we've ended up. That's inching up a little bit. I think maybe a couple of years we were about 1.8, and we're adding new services and things and trying to be pretty conservative on how that happens. The revenues are listed there, so you can see where we're at as far as fund balances are concerned. And how that relates to the expenditures that we had and what we had when we finished our 18. County levies remained consistent with where they had been. Osceola County went down, Charles O'Brien, to get more in line with the rest of the pack here. And as you know, for this year, we moved down to $10 now, at $10 per levy and per capita. And then next year, we're looking at $15. And this has been kind of a legislative roller coaster because they wanted us to do a lot with fund balances to get down to 25% by next year. And so that was the reason for limiting our revenues. We were just trying to be conservative on our expenditures. So there's property tax relief that helped with that, but at the end here, we do have a significant budget that we need to prepare for, and so revenues are going to be kind of a wild card here. Legislation is kind of looking at, they want to change the fund balances from a 25% cap by 2020 to a 40% cap by 2024. That's what's kind of sitting there now for proposal. It hasn't been passed.
So say even with our max living capacity, we can't sustain our budget, let alone carry over 40%. So in the short run, I would certainly entertain the thought of increasing our levy to create a better ending fund balance. So whether that's for longer or until they give us a clearer picture, because they're really not talking about funding much this year in what I've seen and heard, but more on ending fund balances.
Yeah.
So, and with that change, they are actually allowing us to reconsider our levy rates for next year.
Yeah.
I would say our board didn't seem to really be moving that way, but I don't know that that discussion won't be had. But
What happens if you have over 25%? Are they gonna take it?
They just reduce your levy so that you can't gain those revenues back by the difference between what's 25 or more. Well, and as Jason was saying, this whole levy cap issue, this 30/30 is irrelevant, at least in my humble opinion. It was based on FY16 expenditures, so it was kind of like brought to the forefront, but still not a line in the sand.
30/30 is actually created by 96 levy rates.
That's exactly right.
1996 levy rates.
Yeah. So it hasn't progressed at all, and especially.
Our ending fund balance is established by the 16 revenues. Right? Percentages.
No, the regional caps were. Regional caps were. Fund balances were put in place because we had non-federal share that we paid before the region started, and that's where our money came from, is that Medicaid absorbed that, and the state took over paying the non-federal share. And so when they did that, that left money in our coffers, and that's where our reserves came from. So now we've got the whole situation, they put that cap on us. That was at the FY16 expenditure rate. And so we're struggling because our expenditures didn't even begin to reflect what our need is as far as the amount of new services. They hadn't even thought of that or brought that to the table. So it's not really keeping up at all with what we've got going. And the other part of it is that $25 is what one of the regions has, $47.28 is what another region has. And so we're very disparate across the whole state as to what that region cap looks like. And yet we're all expected to provide the services, so that's what we're talking about that. So stay tuned on that because there's a lot of wrangling going on right now in Des Moines about that. Sales taxes in the mix as far as doing some supplementation, perhaps of the property tax levy or buying out the system. There's been some conversation at one point in time about that. But the services that they're asking us to do is much more, I think, than what the buyout would be, especially now that we're adding children's services in the mix. They want regions to provide children's services. So it's a live cannon right now. Any questions so far, or any of the money processing? The outcomes and progress is listed here, and it just kind of gives some graphs. There's plenty more of those in the full report. Kind of looks at emergency slots that are being used, Osceola hasn't had a lot of those at this point in time, and, you know, I'm kind of looking at how that relates to the, engagement of clients. That's what we're kind of seeing now, that we're building these services, but mental health is a very private and personal thing. And, it's been said that sometimes it takes up to 10 years for people to access treatment, just because of the stigma that's involved. So we're putting some time and effort into some marketing and some stigma reduction activities so that we can maybe get to a point where people will be more apt to ask for help quicker. Because that's the problem we see, is that people get to the point where things are so bad and then they're hospitalized and everything. We're trying to develop a range of services that doesn't require that with getting access early. So that would be our goal here in Osceola County. We've got medication encounters that we do with Season Center on the bottom of page 13 and 14. Sometimes people need to have some additional assistance with nursing support when people are accessing services. Their insurance may pay for medication, or they may pay for a very small visit, but there's maybe a lot of other services that need to be done in order to ensure that they get the medicine and that they stay on the medicine at the dosages that are needed. So we provide some support for that. As far as inpatient encounters, we were involved with Season Center because they did coverage for the mental health unit in the center, but that since has been removed from the contract as of January. And so we will not be providing that anymore to them because they have stepped away from that coverage. The face-to-face crisis assessments, that's you know, just another way for people to get engaged and how that relates to cost for services. You can see that more usage is making the cost go down, and we're hoping that that continues so that we don't have so we have good usage of the service. The crisis calls on page 14 and 15 have a lot to do with what people are calling in for. Would you want to copy this? Sorry. We're on page 16. And on 16, just kind of talks a little bit more about regional call and what age groups are calling. Crisis is a relatively new program, so on page 17 it just kind of talks a little bit about what's going on with that. Presenting problems. I've heard quite a bit from schools in particular that there's kids that are involved in therapy and treatment, and because of behaviors in classrooms and things like that, there's a concern for them, you know, not being able to stay at school. And mobile crisis has come in and de-escalated the situation, has made some emergency appointments for people to be seen quicker, and it's alleviated some of the stress and some of the issues that have come along with kids with mental health issues. And at the same token, it's done some really good things on the law enforcement side of things too. You've got folks that, for whatever reason, are just not having a good situation managing their mental health. And so mobile crisis comes in, does some assessment, and then connects them with the people that serve them, get them in quicker, the kind of eyes and ears for doctors and nurse practitioners to kind of know what's going on. It's got a lot of potential out there. Page 18 is talking a little bit about the Hope Haven jail services, and you can see that Osceola is using those, you know, comparison to population and things like that. You guys have calls in regularly. We've got some top-notch jailers that are very in tune of what's going on and will call right away to get people in for services. That means a lot to us, to get people in. Contacts by service type just kind of gives you more information about where those graphs come from. It gives you an idea about, you know, how people are getting into the system. The jail stuff. It doesn't cost a lot of money to provide that service, but on the liability side of things, you could save a lot, just making sure people get the treatment when they need it. far as 19 is concerned, there's more, information there about comparisons of costs. It's just catch 'em on, needs to grow, needs to, get more people aware of what's going on and services it's provided. On the page, you can see it'll say what has, effectively used. And then regional program outcomes, in addition to the data that we, take regularly on the services that are provided by the region, the state has, a full array of different types of outcomes that are reported, and they're on the inclusion, which means, when people are in the community, are they actually in the community? Are they doing things? Are they involved with different things? Are they, a part of that? Are they employed? Are they, do they have safe and affordable housing? Are they getting physicals regularly? So the medical piece of it can be kind of evaluated. And you can see where we're at with that. This is all reported on our CSN system. It's a county services network system. It's a database that all the counties have, and all the providers are in it as well, and they're able to report directly into that, and they can give us ideas about where things are at for our region. Education and training, like we're saying, C3 is one. Zero Suicide Project Coalition. Osceola County's got a wonderful group of folks that are really concerned about the issues with suicide. And so we've looked at having some different activities in regards to a coalition that we have here. I know Mike and Jason have been involved with that. And I think there's going to be more things coming up. That, there's just more people that are getting included, and therefore the activities are starting to ramp up. And in fact, Wendy and Ben from the hospital are looking at a strategic plan that will organize things.
I know these cards, that's a good start. That's the start.
Yeah, it's getting things kind of in a place where it needed to go. Yeah, I really am excited about it, because I think it's got lots of potential.
When you have an issue with kids in school, how does it get to you? I mean, is it referrals from the counselors, or is there anybody else involved there, or?
It'll depend. The counselors certainly are aware of Beth. Beth goes in and does transition work with kids, and then mobile crisis is involved, that kind of thing. So it just really depends on who they want to call. A lot of times what you're trying to do is align the child with the care team that they currently have. So it's not new faces and new people. And so it's just making sure that they get into the people they need to see.
And so if they are suicidal, where do they go then? I mean, if they have to leave the home, or, I mean, is there a certain spot that they go, or once they leave the area, you're done with it, or how does that all work?
Well, it kind of depends on the kid.
Yeah.
It depends on the kid, because you can have an acute episode where somebody is a danger to self or others and needs to actually be inpatient hospitalized. That's where Avera comes in, got a really good children's unit up there. And so kids can be transferred there. If there's needs that require attention, maybe they've had some prescribing done and they need to have an adjustment on medication or things of that nature, their depressive symptoms may be a little more heightened, then they would maybe go to their prescriber. But typically the emergency room, that's a good place for folks to go, family doctor. Mobile crisis can be called, if it's a school and that kind of thing. So there's a variety of different intercepts. It just kind of depends on child and what the need is.
But even with a family doctor, there's got to be the next step, because he doesn't have a lot of time to spend.
Right. And that's where the clinics come in with mobile crisis. They're being asked to get that mobile crisis person to come in to spend that time and to sort out what needs to happen next.
You guys work exclusively then with Avera, or is there other?
No, there's other ones. Our 6 counties, Lyon, Osceola, O'Brien, Clay, Dickinson, and Palo Alto, have like 3 different hospitals and things like that in them. And so you guys are more hooked in, actually there's 4, because Lyon's got Sanford and Avera, and then you guys got Avera. Palo Alto's got Mercy over Mason City, and Primgar's got Mercy out of Sioux City. So it just depends. Yeah, Shelton does too, yeah. So it just really kind of depends, and like you say, you wanna get to the people they're most familiar with if possible. If it's a cold call and it's like, I'm not affiliated with anybody, then it's emergency room and just start and develop a plan. Emergency rooms are probably one of the most likely ones right now, just because they have 24/7 coverage, and you want to make sure that somebody gets in right away if that's happening. So.
Kind of get away from us, we just have the recall item, or is he gonna?
So, and the last thing is in regards to the, service coordination. Just wanted you to have a listing of all the different places. Beth Rowe does an excellent job for our region in regards to connecting the dots when it comes to linkages with services and financial and everything like that. But that just kind of gives you a snapshot of all the different places in the community where we're at as far as the region. That isn't a sitting in the desk, behind the desk kind of job at all. And all about just doing a variety of different outreach and referrals and that kind of thing. So just wanted you to be aware of that. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
We'll do another half hour probably.
No, I got things to do, I do too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
If you think that's necessary, I'll try to take that same opportunity if you guys don't mind. Getting an item on the phone, we'll get back short.
This is Ivan.
Hi, Ivan, this is Rochelle in Osceola County.
Yes.
How are you?
Morning.
Okay, wait a couple minutes, Jason's on his way up and so is Mike, but, Leroy and Jerry are here.
Okay.
And I provided them a new map that you sent me the other day with that redistricting.
With the, showing 9 and 43 together?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also got an email with, Zeke and Bergen property that Cole sent out.
Oh, yeah. Showing the acres that would be filed out of the district and you would exclude from annexation.
Correct.
I did have a discussion with, Jim Kramer here this morning, and, once the board is ready, I can kind of update them as the discussion with Jim.
Okay.
Hello, Ivan. Sorry.
Morning.
I needed a brief reprieve.
Okay. I did mention that I, did have a discussion here this morning with, Jim Kramer, and I will update the board in regard to that discussion before we talk about actions from the board.
Okay. Do you have a copy of our agenda in front of you? It identifies review of your preliminary report and your recommendation to proceed the full investigation and report. And then it identifies considering adopting a resolution of necessity for annexation. Is that the best order to approach it in, or?
Sure. The information from Jim, does not require any action, but will have an effect in regard to what the board wants to do with, item number 1.
Okay.
Are we ready?
You wanna wait for the other gentlemen?
Let's go.
We've got 3 here and one said, let's go, so.
Okay. So go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. The discussion with Jim this morning was in regard to the question, can the board, merge the 2 districts together with the action already of the approval of the, improvements to Drainage District 9?
That would be specific to Mr. Feldkamp's question the night of the informational meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
And, Jim has done just some brief review. We talked about what issues would take place, and the true question that he has to fully research yet is, can we merge them together with a standing order of improvement on Drainage District number 9 and move forward with the merger of the 2 districts together, with the people knowing that the facilities of DD9 are officially being transferred to Drainage District 43, and you're dissolving Drainage District number 9. So, in looking at the code sections, the revised code, chapter or part 7, deals with merger of drainage and levee districts, which starts at, 468.262. He believes that there's probably nothing that prevents the merger of the 2 districts, but the issue of having to determine, can this merger proceed with the transfer of the facilities with the proposed improvement being maintained. And, he wants to do a little further research on that. Currently, the code was changed back in, I think it was in 2012-13 time frame, that the code was changed. The old code used to say that you could only merge the districts if the dissolving district had no debt. In other words, you couldn't transfer facilities and merge the 2 districts together if the dissolving district had debt on the books. But that was changed in the revised code. You can merge them together and the debt is transferred into the surviving district, and the board then, and obviously there would have to be a reclassification at that time, but, the distribution of that debt, can be addressed by the surviving board in regard to how they want to handle that debt. So, the fact that there's an improvement on, been ordered on DD9, he thinks it's possible that the merger could take place, but I stressed to him this issue about the remonstrance rights, and that's, he stated too, that's a very good point, So if the merger took place, the order has to stay in place in the sense that don't have a new vote in regard to that improvement. So those are the issues that kind of lay there. He doesn't have a final answer at this time. And with that discussion, I told him the two actions that the board was looking to take place today. And our discussion, just for information to the board, was that maybe in regard to directing the, full investigation on, DD 43's facility, that you may, delay that for additional input from legal counsel on the merger question. And that, the only reason for that would be, to make sure that we're approaching the final report and, the actions that would have to take place. Most likely, the merger, would have to take place in separate proceedings prior to an actual, final report on 43. In regard to the annexation question that I posed to him, he fully agreed that it would make sense to move forward with the annexation because for merger also, all lands that would be in the combined district have to be officially annexed into the district. Questions from the board?
That's a lot of information.
I see the need for merger, or where it would certainly be easier in the long run. I think, in some respects, it'd be nice to get one reclassification, be done, have one district, and work together. But what's been approved for 9
Isn't gonna change.
can and should have a different assessment schedule than what it could potentially look like if 43 was one new merged district. So.
Yeah, there would, if they were merged in, one schedule put together, for the payment of the combined project, you would probably proceed with 2 construction schedules where the lands, where you pay for the improvements, just like, the landowners in the upper end would pay for that improvement, with the landowners of the whole district paying for the improvements to the lower end. And then you would have a combined maintenance schedule that would, from that date forward, take care of that, going forward.
If they combine, I'm sorry, if they combine, though, wouldn't it cost the District 43 landowners way more money than if they left it separate? Wouldn't they have to pay for part of 9's or not?
In the future.
That in the future then.
Not, but if we combine.
In the future, there would be one combined schedule for upkeep and maintenance of the combined district.
But 9's improvements would still be just the 9's landowners, even if they combined them?
You wouldn't list them as 9, you would actually list them as if you combine them before doing the improvements, you would have a construction schedule that pays for what was DD9's tile system, and then you would have a separate schedule that pays for looking for my opinion, my opinion is you continue down the road we're on with 43 being handled as a separate project, well, at least for the report status. You do 43 and keep 9 separate, and we worry about the merger of the 2 districts after the improvements are done.
It's really be the most fair and equitable to have 9 reclassified to address the improvements and the laterals, and I mean, that was all part of it that would need to be done moving forward. They don't have any laterals identified right now and things like that.
Yep. That's correct. The reclassification of 9 with its lateral schedules, should be paid for by the landowners of DD9, and the landowners of 43 shouldn't have to stand that cost. Now, typically, in lateral schedules, we track those acres separately, and everybody has to pay for the main reclassification, and then the lands served by the individual laterals, they are separately assessed for the reclassification of those lands on the lateral. So that can be handled, even if you had the merger done, you could handle it. It just, I should say, it keeps less question by the landowners down in 43 if they are getting shafted in any order by DD9 takes care of their improvement, and then the combined 43 takes care of the improvement of the relief pile down below.
With the merger, would they have to vote on the merger, or is that up to us to do the merger?
Landowners have the right to object. There isn't a remonstrance right to the merger. They have objection rights to the merger, but in this case, since the board is acting as trustees for both districts, it's basically a voting decision by the board on the merger.
Okay.
There is a separate hearing process that has to be fulfilled, to go through the merger. It could not be part of the hearing process on the improvements to 43. We would have to have it as a separate hearing process to do that, and then you would proceed with the 43, the combined improvement of the overall district of 43.
Right or not, fair or not, my assessment of the question of merging that night would be whether that allows 9's improvements to be reconsidered. Would anybody agree with that or disagree, or?
They're looking for a remonstrance.
Yes, and I believe it's fairly clear from legal representative now that that would not be opened up by consideration of a merger. If that's all correct, then personally I would say it might be easiest and best just to leave them as 2 districts until both of these issues are dealt with, potentially constructed, potentially paid off, and then I can see real value in merging, but.
I agree. But then I'd still leave it up to them if they want to merge or not.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't, why would you want to?
Yeah.
But once it's paid for, I can see it becoming
I can see why they would want to, because then control wouldn't be in 2 people.
Well, yeah, that's,
you're not.
but by the time they do all these improvements, it's not gonna make any difference
No,
anyway.
it's done, yeah, for our lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe the reason the question was asked was so that they could reconsider the improvements.
Yeah.
Up
paper, was there that night, is that how you reported the questions?
You're right, Ivan, that's exactly right. Well, unless he tells us differently, council, I don't think nothing should change.
But I think we should do the annexation.
Well, yeah, that's separate.
I didn't understand that statement.
I think unless council tells us differently, Ivan, we just proceed like it's going on right now.
Yeah.
And worry about the merger later.
I fully agree. That would be my recommendation. Council, there is no reason that the board cannot proceed in that fashion. That question wasn't asked of council. Basically, the question asked of council, can the merger happen with a standing order for improvement of DD 9? And, so that's what he was researching. But the board, or the council is not gonna have a problem with the board if they so wish to proceed as the fashion stated. Let's do them as two separate projects. Basically, that's where it, ended up in 2015, that we were just going to proceed in that fashion. Again, the two construction projects can be handled under one contract as a Division 1 and a Division 2, so that all the work is done under one construction contract to save mobilization costs and those type of things. But we will set them up as a Division 1, Division 2, so that the actual dollar cost for each portion is tracked. This is assuming that the improvements to 43 are approved.
I personally think there will be.
Yeah, I do too.
I do believe that, there will be, enough landowners, the larger petitioning landowners will basically carry a fair amount of weight there on ownership of land to probably prevent a remonstrance if there was one trying to be orchestrated.
And I think all the ones in 43 know they have to do something with 9 going through.
That's correct.
Well, upon your recommendation, and what was heard at the informational meeting the other night, it seems reasonable to consider proceeding to a full engineer's report. And I would agree that the release tiles seem to be pretty generally or commonly accepted as the best approach. I've not heard any comment since or differently.
And, truthfully, with the people at the lower end, it makes logically the most sense for them to do that full tile relief tile system when they are gonna get a good portion of it paid for by the lands upstream of it.
And by relief, I guess I should say parallel. The option you provided with parallel is what we're talking about, right?
That is correct. The parallel relief system, yes.
And for the difference in price, wasn't that big.
Not for, I don't have that land in front of me, but, I think it was $100,000 $1,000.
Yeah.
And, truthfully, overall, no. I mean, that is not a significant difference. And would not have a
are going to proceed with the consideration of an improvement, I believe annexation is right and necessary. I would, to be consistent with how we did it with 9, I would like to see that occur before any final decisions on 43 improvements. Mainly because some of the exact lands that were annexed into 9 are not in 43, but are benefited similarly by both. So it stands to reason to me that they should be included.
I fully agree. That would be my recommendation also.
Does that need to be a motion?
They have this sample resolution of necessity for annexation. If you want to consider a motion to approve that resolution, do we need to identify the lands that you've said would likely be excluded, or that would be part of your annexation report and you're just making us aware of that?
Yes, we will have to file an official annexation report, and there will, be separate hearing with notice provided to those landowners being annexed. So, that 10 acres, will not be included in our annexation report, our official annexation report. Those 10 acres would not be included.
Understood. Are we interested in proceeding with the resolution of necessity prior to considering the report, or what way would you like to go, guys?
I think we should. Yep. I think that was a motion and a second.
All right, that would be numbered, resolution number 34, resolution of necessity.
Jerry.
No. Wording is provided by Mr. Gressler. I take it that was introduced by Mr. Schulte and supported by Mr. Helmers. Or was it not, or that's what I heard.
Yeah, whatever.
Or did I have it backwards?
Either way, makes no difference. What resolution number was that?
34. Correct? Any further discussion on resolution of necessity? Resolution number 34. Hearing none, then Mr. Schulte?
Yes.
Mr. Helmers?
Aye.
Mr. Jones? Aye. Mr. Moore? I vote aye. We additionally want to act on proceeding to a full engineer's report following annexation. Consider it at a different time.
Thanks, well, good. Thank you, Joy.
Is that a motion? Motion to just spoil do it by the board. Or whatever nicer wording or spelling is put in there. Report from Helmers. Further discussion on authorizing the full engineer's report and continuing to use ISG, I'm assuming is what just as well do it meant.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We keep finding things for you to do, Ivan.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And, we will move forward with the annexation, rapidly, so that, we can get through that process. And, while we are preparing the final report, on the improvement.
Okay.
Good. That's all I have for today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have the engineer come back up again.
Is the reason the letting is
Shouldn't have this one done already? Should not have long time, in my opinion.
Not specifically the turn lane, but the RISE grant.
Yeah, that was.
Thank you.
That was involved with it.
But there was paperwork that wasn't done, or done right, or something.
It just wasn't done.
Right? It just wasn't done.
I said, guys, it was no bill on it, now he doesn't have enough, he's got too much work, he can't put on.
I got the same one, could you give me one?
Probably the same one, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, 'cause now he's booked for the year. 'Cause I was asked, did you put it off till next year?
That was stupid.
And his dad lives next door to me. Good people.
Ken was.
I was trying to follow him. I don't like him, he's got too much stuff he likes to do. Right. He's 2 years younger than I am. Maybe he's 1 year younger. I get a text and say, I hear somebody's gonna be a old guy. That's right.
Keep trying to avoid those things, I don't wanna eat them. I'm gonna eat them, Moving through the, Tyler Avenue, mid-letter dates. Questions have been asked and statements made about why it got drug out and where we were at, and whether work just wasn't done, or I know we waited on the state for the final review of the RISE grant to some extent, but we were addressing this in January, and hearing by the end of January we'd have bid dates, and February, by the end of February, and we're to April, and I think there's a fair amount of frustration with when and how it got submitted to the state.
Not whose fault it is.
I see. You know, overall, I think, Schulfeld put up together a nice set of plans. It did it not as fast as I'd like to have, and it was at a bad time of the year too for all of us, with all the stuff we had going on. So,
there was nothing stopping it from having been addressed last October, or November, or December either.
I agree with that, you're right.
I
agree with that.
It got to the point, I understand.
It got to the last minute, and
that's not when we handed it to you, or I'm not pointing just to you, but that's not when the process was started by us.
Oh, no, it was started a long time ago, and that's what I'm saying, it got kind of pushed to the end, and that's part of the problem.
And we've lost, I know, one bidder.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because of it.
Who's that?
Two months.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Because now he's booked up for the year.
Yep.
And I hope the other guys aren't booked up already.
So anyway, let's move on, get it done.
Yep, so right now, I think really what we're doing now is just kind of formalizing some things, is that correct? Because the board already gave general guidance that we could move forward with letting, as long as we gave so long of a notice period and based on DOT approval, which we obtained, but now we're just trying to formalize that in a more formal way, so that the board actually takes more formal action on the bid letting, which is taking place at 4 p.m. on April 19th, and the public hearing or awarding the contract on April 23rd at 10 a.m.
Contingent upon state.
Correct, contingent on, exactly, contingent on DOT concurrence. You're absolutely right.
Got a question for you.
Yep.
So, we don't get very many bids and it's real high. Is it, possible, I don't know if that's the word, to not do it this year and leave it gravel? I
Yeah, sure, sure it is, it's just that, you know, it just affects the feed mill a little bit, having that access for a year.
Yeah, well, could they, yeah.
For those type of truck quantities, I would say that would be a disaster, but.
I'm just asking, I've had people ask me this question, so I guess that's why I'm passing it along.
Yeah.
Would be better off, being it got done so late in the year, to let it set and settle some more for another year. I don't know.
It doesn't hurt.
I don't know.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, it doesn't hurt on the.
I don't wanna do that, but I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm asking the question that I'm getting asked. I don't wanna do that, but I'm just.
How much truck, we've got the approval on the RISE grant to go to bid letting at this point, I guess I would.
Yeah,
I would
I understand.
hesitate to muddy that one.
Yeah.
You know, this is speculative right now too, because we don't know what we're gonna get yet. We have a bid letting on April 19th, and that'll tell us a lot at that point in time.
Okay.
My guess is it's gonna be probably just fine, and we're probably gonna have reasonable bids. We're gonna have an apparent low bidder that makes sense, that probably makes the most logical sense to move forward with the project. I could be wrong, it could change differently, and you're right, schedules on certain contractors fill up, but also, certain people don't have full schedules, and they're more aggressive now because they're hungry, because they don't get something, they're in big trouble, they haven't filled out the calendar. So it can work for you and against you, you never know. And we'll find out, you know, on April 19th. In regards to the, you know, letting it sit another year, that would definitely not hurt the road at all, it would make it better for a long-term standpoint, but it would impact access to the feed mill. And if we did put all those trucks on that road, that would be, a challenge too, because that's a lot of trucks that they're talking about, I mean.
I understand, I've had the Rob at the elevator ask, are you guys gonna get it done this year, and what is the plan, or things like that, so.
Yeah.
Just asking the questions that I'm getting asked, so.
My desire is that it gets done this year. I wish that we didn't have the big rain event last year and that the south mile was completed as well. But most of that road was graded, except for the area by the houses there.
I'm not big on just pointing fingers, there's no reason we couldn't have put it on our agenda every time we deal with it, every time since the first of the year, so.
I'm just asking the question.
I had better hopes and I thought it would go quicker and better than it has, but that doesn't change where we're at. And I think the schedule that's been identified is one that is worth following and proceeding with. You need a formal, you're asking for a formal approval of the bid letting date, identifying state concurrence and our likely acceptance of the contract for April 26th.
Yeah, so this formal,
April 23rd.
Well, I need to get to April instead of March, don't I?
Okay, so you need a motion on that?
yeah, a motion to formally authorize the bid letting for April 19th at 4 p.m.
I support that.
Okay.
So that's one motion. And then you want to do it that way. And then you want to combine it.
19th and 23rd.
So the bid letting would be formally setting the date based on, you know, knowledge that the DOT concurred for April 19th at 4 p.m. Yeah, just get that one done over the other one.
Mr. Schulte and Mr. Hellman, you've made a motion to approve the Tyler Everett bid letting date of 4 p.m., April 19th at 4 p.m. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Those abstaining.
And then, the motion to set the date for public hearing.
Sign to do.
I think it's at
10 a.m., April 23rd.
Okay.
And to, consider awarding contract to the low bidder contingent on
23rd at 10 a.m. Consider awarding the low bidder contract contingent upon the state concurrence. Further discussion? My only concern is, at this point, we still haven't identified how we're going to pay for what we're short, and
Well, let's see what the numbers come in.
I understand that I don't go buy a car and then figure out where the numbers. I wish we would have had better conversation on how we're addressing this, because we're gonna be awarding a contract that we have to pay on that we haven't said where from, and that bothers me, but.
Well, a lot of it is, are we gonna be 50,000 short or 500,000 short from what it's coming?
Every January, we go through every office's budget and determine what we think they should have, and we don't know if we're gonna be 50,000 short or 50,000 over, or.
We've got a pretty good idea.
We do it all the time, and I think we should have done it here, but. We have an idea, and we have a date identified. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to set public hearing dates, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Abstained? Anything further to say concerning those agreements?
No, just if somebody wanna talk about, it's like, somebody asked for the estimated cost, and then Wayne supplied some estimated cost of the project. Is that anything that must be discussed, or?
No, I think that's sent out an email or something.
For the year addressing what the contracts will
Now, did
hopefully
that,
reflect to be under.
Yeah,
did that include the 300 rice grant?
It does not. He's just looking at, he's just giving a price for the construction contract amount, like how much that bid could come in at. He's estimating it. And then Jason asked me to do some of that other estimating on the side, like what other costs we have associated, and I gave those estimates to him by email. And in the end,
Can you send that out again? I don't remember.
yeah, sure, I can forward along to get those.
You might have, I just didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I didn't consider at that time too was the RISE grant, and he brought that up to me. I seem to forget about that for some reason. I was forgetful. But, so that obviously counts in our favor. We have another $209,000 to our favor. So when we get that reimbursement, that'll offset the overall potential shortfall. And right now, based on his most expensive option, it looks like it was around $1 million over, minus the $200,000 or something, is what it would be. On the cheapest option, it looks like it'd be around $450,000 over. The minus $200,000 would be looking at like maybe $250,000. But that's based on Wayne's numbers and on what we have estimated for the other costs.
Sounds good.
Quarterly reports for the auditor and reporter's office, review. Down to claims. Contract, we have a solution, managed care, or whatever it is, that we have a separate malware download cost. Part of their coverage plan, yes, 1956. Under that process, page 9. Software support, but
That's Missy upstairs. She had problems with her computer. She got a note from the state that there's malicious stuff going on. She's going to check that out.
The question of the sheriff was like her name and Gloria. Don't they work? Don't they work there for an aid? This is what we told us, work for the sheriff's department too. Now, I see one for $75, one for $50, is that extra hours they come in or?
I think that's translations.
Yeah, but don't they do that during their normal work hours or?
Well, they probably have to call them in.
That's not what I'm
assuming.
And maybe they, because I've never asked a question.
So I thought, geez, if they're doing all the work hours and.
I would think if they during the work hours, they would charge for it.
They shouldn't.
That's not a question for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if it's extra hours, that's not a problem.
When you did that, run into overtime or whatever, into their check, they had to come in for that? Would that be?
I don't know. That could be something to ask unless it's really not doing their job. Because they weren't hired to be interpreters.
Maybe just pay them a flat rate to be available for a year, just contract them.
But they're basically on contract now for so much an hour when they come in.
I think when Gloria worked at the hospital, she got paid separately for that too.
Did she?
At that time, I mean.
Even if it was on her hours?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't understand.
And that's no quote me on that.
I don't understand.
There was an extra charge for it. But, you know, there again, it depends on.
I know, because to me, if they're on duty.
Kind of the whole point of hiring bilingual individuals, is to have that ability to have them there to do that.
But
I just thought, you know, if it was while they were working age, obviously they should pay extra.
I'll ask a question about that.
But if they get called in separately, I don't have a problem with it.
then we're assuming that it's happened, could be on a stop somewhere, or
Yeah.
it could be in the field.
Yeah, you don't know. But even if they're on duty working, that should be part of their. But I just thought I'd ask.
One for Lion Energy and then one City of Sibley. Yeah, we had both of those in there this time.
Okay, one for gas and one for electric.
Yeah.
Not cheap either.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait till they get their 25% increase.
But they won't get it.
But that's okay.
Yeah,
No
Lion for the
separate
first
motion
house.
for here today for water?
Staying on 2019.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pay 2019.
I'll second that.
Motion by Schulte, support from Jones.
Aye.
2019, all those in favor? Abstain.
You were too slow, Jason, you're supposed to speed up. special meeting last Friday morning, and they're on the verge of going broke.
I think they all are.
Yeah, well, they got enough to the 15th to pay their help after that.
And that's something to do with the block grant they were receiving,
They didn't
they don't receive it anymore.
51,000, I think it was. But they're on, they haven't been real productive for a while. And now they're in need of
And they've
your help.
they've contacted, what, three or four other.
Yeah, 3 others, and there's nobody interested, including Caesar.
Taking them over. And they're asking $10,000 from each county, and I don't think that's right,
For
because
the month of April.
just to prolong it.
No, it's gonna go down there.
Well, that's my thoughts, another one of my thoughts was,
Did they do anything to restructure that up until this point? Because I know Caesars has had a lot of issues as well. They switched over all their health insurance, they got rid of IFRS, I mean, they did everything they could do to bring the cost down.
no, I'll be honest, nothing, it's kind of been run, I've asked for a lot of months, I would like a detailed profit and loss for each location, and we never get it. In fact, when they went to the bank to get a loan, the bank said, that was exactly what the bank said, and then the bank said, no way, we're not gonna borrow you to try to maintain it, so.
They went to the bank to see if they could get a little bit to keep us on until they found the buyer or whatever, and the bank wouldn't do it.
I missed the meeting, but I talked with the chairperson at length when he did. At that time, that was the night before the meeting, he thought maybe, Jackson Recovery would take it over, but nobody wants that.
And they were there. Why would you take over something going back?
They usually just do all of them.
We had a meeting yesterday about that, and nobody was interested.
Maybe Leroy and I could point the finger at ourselves, maybe we should have paid a little more attention to the finances, but, what are you guys' thoughts?
But you're not there in the day-to-day operations. You can.
We can only go by what the figures they give.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They probably should have taken a page out of the season book and been more proactive.
Yeah.
And
This come up
restructuring their costs.
one day, and we're done.
They knew it was coming.
Well, they did, but they didn't.
They should have shared that with
Yes.
everybody, so you could have had some sort of plan of action.
No, I'd say.
So you'll have one less board meeting too.
Well, then, we have an allocation discussed, and then, since we haven't paid it yet, we don't know what.
That was my next question for you guys.
So do we hold on to that allocation?
$250, I don't know.
But that's for next fiscal year, right?
No, yeah, we pay them quarterly, $250 quarterly.
No, we upped it.
We did for next year,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, not for this year.
We agreed to it for this year, I say we should pay that.
Yeah, I would say. Is that for this quarter?
Yes, it's for April,
Starting
from
April
April
1,
to
I would hold
June.
off and see.
Yeah, 'cause it'll be done next Monday, right? You're right.
According to what it is right now, yeah, even if that's our gonna money for shutting it down.
Yeah, there was, that email you had, I don't have it on my phone, it did talk about,
I said it was prorated.
Somebody can shut it down.
whatever they call it, decommissioning or whatever. Whatever you guys think.
That's probably giving it to them, but I think if we agreed to give them that, and $250 isn't gonna make a big difference.
They agreed to serve for the year too.
Yeah. I say $250 isn't gonna make a big difference, one way or the other.
No, but who else we can get $250 to that aren't doing what they said they do?
And if you wanna see this. Got another one on there.
What, last night?
That's what I got, yeah, last night, and then I got one this morning too, that they want to contract.
They've had some issues in the last, year, and then one of their CFOs actually died.
They had OSHA problems.
And what's your claim, well, considered at that point, and I'm not taking action on it now as a committee report.
But it didn't claim next time it goes in there.
That's another different system there, I think.
Well, that's the one
You know, I've always asked them, how come there's like 3 or 6 on each? We get one a day, one a week.
That's something that I'd rather not have it public, so I'll wait.
And then next meeting, Phil from Iowa Land Records is gonna come in with a presentation.
Who is?
Phil from Iowa Land Records,
Oh,
the guy that's in charge of that down in Des Moines.
I have one more question, I think I can ask this. When we approve a budget, we can't put anything, we just approve the budget, we can't put anything contingent in there, can we? You either approve the budget, and if you need to amend the budget, then you need to amend the budget, right? Jason, do you have any answers for me there, or?
We give the authority to spend X dollars, then they have the authority to spend that, and not.
We can't go back and say, well, I don't know if I should give the example. Well, the public safety, the different towns have given different monies. And I missed the last meeting because of the flood. And they passed the budget contingent that if they need more money, they can go back to the cities that didn't pay as much. Is that even a possibility?
I wouldn't think so.
that wasn't quite the way it was it there?
Well, that's the way I read it in the minutes.
Well, Glenn Anderson's the one that brought that up. That it's simply negotiating and whoever paid the more amount. That if it ever came to that the reserves were gone, so the city that didn't pay.
Yeah, but it was while you guys passed the budget, how can you put a contingency in the budget?
I don't think you can, the budget's the budget.
Yeah, I think you just have to go to amend the budget, is what you have to do. I don't think you can pinpoint.
The smaller cities paid what they were supposed to. Some of the other cities just paid a little more. So it ain't like they shirked their dollar amount.
They won't be able to go back to just those specific.
I just didn't know what the.
I don't see how they could.
I think you could.
I don't see how they could.
That motion, that get a legal opinion on it against it.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but.
All right.
I have been wrong before.
Just a question I had. That's all I got.
No early childhood.
It sounds like we're not gonna do anything with Compass Point, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to kick that.
Never go ahead. We're just gonna pay the last quarter.
We'll put that in the claims next time, on the 23rd then.
Well, they won't be there.
I know.
Really, Jason said it's right. If they're not gonna be there to do their job, why do we pay them for it?
If it was an agenda item, I'm not about to consider approving the claim to be paid prior to our next meeting when it's approval. If they didn't ask to be on our agenda or address that specifically, to me, regardless, I'm just good at it.
It was kind of a shock, but it wasn't too. You know, it might happen overnight.
To be considered,
It did.
You should have known it. Early childhood, ECI Lakes Region Director resigned, so we are in the process of looking for a new full-time one. We had a part-time one. So if anybody knows anybody that's interested in that position.
That was. Who's the guy?
No,
Jamie.
we don't have nothing in Moines.
This is Head Start.
No, early childhood. They give grant stuff for Des Moines and for the kids.
We should have that one.
I already got it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the 82.
Financials on that, or not?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I got that.
I think it's up on our website. I think it's just a decrease in early childhood
Maybe.
development of business. You have to be able to put together a budget
executive decision and something that be done.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Board did, the board did.
Oh, I'll
The board
second that.